My name is Jeff Decker, and I'm the Manager of Communications and Media for the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency. Today, the SPSA will provide an update on the flooding that is impacting northern communities. Please feel free to record, cut clips, or quote today's call as needed. I'd also like to note that we are recording the call and it will be available online later this week. Joining us today are Sean Jakes, President and CEO of the Saskatchewan Water Security Agency, Patrick Boyle, Executive Director, Communications and Client Services for the Water Agency, Leah Clark, Executive Director, Irrigation and Economic Development for the Water Security Agency, Bill Pachalka, Assistant Deputy Minister, Operations and Maintenance, the Ministry of Highways, Dan Palmer, Senior Communications Consultant with the Ministry of Highways, Dale Rocco, the SPSA Director, Investigations and Emergency Response, Tyler Harrison, SPSA Manager, Emergency Services Officers. Updates will be provided by the SPSA, the Saskatchewan Water Security Agency, and the Ministry of Highways today. After that, members of the media will have the opportunity to ask one question and one follow-up question at a time. Please be advised that this technical briefing has a hard stop at 2:30 p.m. Now, an update on behalf of the SPSA. The agency is currently responding to support requests from the rural municipality of Meadow Lake and is supporting local efforts with response personnel and flooding equipment. The agency is also supporting Beardies and Okamas First Nation with flooding equipment. SPSA emergency services officers are also in contact with the communities of Foam Lake, Pierceland, and the RM of St. Louis. With that, I will turn it over to Sean Jakes for an update from the Saskatchewan Water Security Agency.
Thank you, Jeff, and welcome everybody today. So last week, the Water Security Agency issued a high flow advisory for a large area extending from northwestern Saskatchewan near Buffalo Narrows down to the southeastern area of our province near Yorkton. And so several communities have experienced localized overland flooding and ice jamming because of this. This encompasses areas around Lloydminster, Meadow Lake, Buffalo Narrows, La Ronge, PA, Battleford's Foam Lake, Watrous, Melfort, Nipawin, Tisdale, Hudson Bay, and Yorkton. And what's really occurred this year is, we've seen an above normal snowpack in the northern part of our province, and it was a cold, cooler, wet spring with slow melting, which, allowed for kind of perfect conditions. And then we saw some, significant warm-ups, which created the flows. With the exception of a few isolated areas, we anticipate we've experienced peak flows in most systems impacting the communities. There's still some areas of concern in the northern end of the Saskatchewan River Basin and, in that northwest part of our province. We are working closely with SPSA and Ministry of Highways, and our officials are out working with communities, and we see there's a lot of work going on to protect homes, water resources locally, and we commend all of those who are out helping. Along with the high flow advisory, WSA has proactively spoke with 143 municipalities and impacted areas last week and followed up with close to 300 email updates. What I would also like to point out, if you go to our website, wsask.ca, there is a runoff page. There's an interactive map where you can click on and see flows on our rivers and into that localized area. So I think with that, I will leave it at that, Jeff.
Excellent. Thank you, Sean. I will now pass it over to Bill Pachalka for an update from the Ministry of Highways.
All right, thanks, Jeff. As mentioned, I'm Bill Pachalka. I'm with the Saskatchewan Ministry of Highways. So over the last several weeks, we have been taking a lot of proactive measures to address the current and potential flooding resulting from the spring snowmelt. So, starting earlier this week, flooding incidents have been reported in various areas of the province. The ministry crews continue to closely monitor traditionally problematic areas, as well as changing conditions across the province. We are fully prepared with equipment and personnel in place to respond to emerging concerns as needed. and motorists should be advised that highway conditions can change very quickly. We recommend motorists check the highway hotline before traveling and heading back to destinations. For the latest available updates are at the highwayhotline.gov.sk.ca. And on that hotline, you will see all of the flooding and other incident information that are on the highways just by clipping the map markers. So highways will continue to have open lines of communication with our ministry partners at Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency and Water Security Agency. And we are prepared and able to respond to flooding incidents and will continue to support public safety efforts. And as I mentioned, for up-to-date information, visit the Highway Hotline website or download the app. So as of noon today, we have about 12 roads that do have water on the roads, and then we do have a couple of roads that are closed. And so that is changing as flows come and go, and as the evenings get a little cooler. So yes, Highway Hotline is the one source of truth.
Thank you, Bill. So now we will get into the question part of the technical briefing. I'm asking that please, all media, please use your raised hand function to indicate that you have a question. You will then be recognized when it is your turn. I would like to remind you to turn on your microphone and camera when you are asking a question, and then turn them off when you are finished. I would also ask that all media members, before asking their questions, please identify themselves and the media outlet to which they are representing. If there are additional questions after the technical briefing has completed, please send them to the SPSA's communication unit media box. It's media.spsa@gov.sk.ca. That address is the main contact for all media. If there are any questions for the agency after today, that's the account to send them to. So let's start the questions. Kenneth, you're up, my friend.
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep, so I'm Kenneth. I'm working with Meadow Lakes now. And so, yeah, I was in contact with the RN of Meadow Lake, and they say the flooding situation is actually improving as the water level are dropping due to the weather. So I just wonder from the SPSA or water agency perspective, is the situation actually improving? And if so, what would be the driving cause of the change?
Okay, so who would like to take that one first? Tyler, you want to take a run at that first?
Sure, I can speak to it, to the response side of things, I guess. So we do still have people on the ground there filling sandbags and helping the community out. From what I'm hearing is that the situation is maintaining at the moment, but I'll let Water Security Agency speak to the water levels.
Yes,
Sean, we can pass that over.
Yes, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, with the cooler weather, that is helping maintain the water levels. So it's kind of stabilized for now. There is a fair bit of snow yet in the forested areas north of Meadow Lake, so that's something we're watching. But as long as the weather stays cool, that will help in making sure that water flows off the landscape.
Kenneth, do you have a follow-up?
Yep, I'm just wondering, maybe in the coming days, what is the risk of more flooding in the area? And let's say what need to be happening before the roads can safely reopen?
Sean, would you like to answer that first, please?
Yeah, what I would say to that, Kenneth, is it's a situation that we're closely monitoring. There is still significant flows in the Meadow Lake area, and as I said, in the forested areas, there is still a fair bit of snowpack, but it is something that we'll be watching. And with the cooler temperatures that are forecasted into next week, it should help, maintain or not increase the risk of flooding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan, can you participate now, please?
Yep, thank you. This is Susan with PA Now in Prince Albert. I have a question actually. I noticed on the map that there is a lot of, it seems to be a lot of flooding in the RM south of Prince Albert. And so, and some washed out roads. So can you say like, I don't know if anybody there has the ability to explain a little bit about how the runoff and the level of water impacts a gravel road, say, versus a paved road?
Bill, would you like to handle that first?
That is a good question. It is difficult to generalize as to how they would work. Obviously, our paved roads, it depends on the flow and how quick the flow is and how concentrated it is. Paved roads would probably be a little bit more forgiving and could take a little bit more. But and gravel roads, as soon as you start getting a channel, then the flow becomes concentrated into one smaller area, and then you will get quicker flow, and that'll erode things quicker. So it's really situational. But I guess to generalize, paved roads probably can handle overtopping better.
Susan, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, I do. I noticed that you're reporting the floods on your interactive map on your website. And so when I looked at the incident by Red Earth / Cumberland House, it actually looked like an ice jam, which is a bit different of a situation than just high water levels. Can you just talk a little bit about the situation there?
I would like to ask, what agency were you talking? You went to which website?
The SPSA's like the same website you would go to for the fire reports. I see flood reports on there. And so that's what I looked at. So maybe my information is old or wrong, but I did notice that it said Red Earth on there. That when I clicked on the information thing, it said ice jam, which seems a little bit early, but maybe not.
Okay. No, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't something you had taken from perhaps the Water Security Agency and were wondering. So I want to make sure we get to the right answer. Dale or Tyler, either one of you guys would be able to handle that.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So those are up on the website, and it does say it's ice jamming. But what's being supported out there is with steamer units. And what's happening is culverts get frozen up and don't allow water to flow through. So the SPSA is helping provide equipment out to help the local communities to clear those culverts of the ice and allow water to flow.
Okay.
Thank you, Tyler. Thanks, Susan. We'll now go to Noah.
Hello. Noah Rashog with Global News. I'm just wanting to ask a little bit about the specific situation up near St. Louis, just nearby Prince Albert. I was wondering if there was sort of any update to what that situation looks like right now, what's being done with the flooding that's happening there.
Okay, Tyler, I'll let you take our first run at it, and then we'll probably go over to Sean to see if he has anything to add.
Sure. So we've been in conversations with the RM of St. Louis over the last number of hours. We do have emergency services officers speaking with them and consulting with them about their needs. And at this point, there hasn't been any request for SPSA assistance that we've been able to provide at this time.
Sean, is there anything you would like to add, or is Tyler fine?
Yeah, I think Tyler's pretty much covered it. I would just say the same thing, that my team at Water Security Agencies also contacted, the communities in that area, and I don't have anything further to add.
Thank you. A follow-up, Noah?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask about general moisture levels that we're seeing across the province. Where are we seeing, the most risk of flooding, the most snowpack, the most what does the situation look like across the province? And then otherwise, what areas are we seeing dryness in right now and potentially below average water?
So I think what I would say, Noah, right now, it's kind of that we issued an advisory last week and showing that northern part of our province, right across the whole north, there's above normal snowpack. And so right now, those are the areas where we're concerned because, as I said earlier in my comments, we saw an above average snowpack, cooler weather, the melt was slow to begin with. And then we saw kind of a quick warm up. And then that's what's creating some of the flooding situation. But what will help alleviate some of those concerns is, if the temperatures stay cool. As I said earlier, we're seeing some minus temperatures into this coming week, which will help alleviate the pressures on flooding. We're seeing kind of right across the province, kind of from that the northwest down to Yorkton, are areas of concern. The forested areas of the province, really haven't begun to melt yet. And so, even in our dry areas, the far southwest was extremely dry this winter. But what we did in the last couple weeks, we've seen a few big snowfalls, which is very welcome moisture. That snowfall of about a week ago, some of the driest parts of our province, got 20, 30 centimeters of snow, which is very welcome for soil moisture. So, kind of that central part of the province, we're seeing good moisture. The north is well above, and kind of a part on the eastern side from Hudson Bay down to Yorkton is going to be well above runoff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. Mick, you're up, my friend.
Hi there. I just had a quick question about the highway hotline posting a picture yesterday of a road collapsing. Mick Fable here from CTV News. Just for the public's for public interest or info, what kind of roads, what kind of places should drivers be concerned about when they're driving around right now?
Okay, so we do have crews on surveillance. I won't quite say 24/7, but certainly every day of the week and for the large part of the day. And so we are monitoring all these situations and we are aware of areas that traditionally have caused us some trouble. So we're keeping a very close eye on that. If there is any type of trouble, we will be identifying that well in advance, and we will have signage up, or we will put a marker up, or even variable message signs saying that there is a problem, there is water on the road ahead, proceed with caution, or whatever the message needs to be. So really the message is check the highway hotline. That's where we'll first see the information. Now, I'm not entirely familiar with what was posted yesterday, but I think that might be referring to the road southwest of Meadow Lake. And that was a wood box culvert that did collapse. So it wasn't, it was just because of the amount of flow that went through there. So we were aware of that before it happened.
Would you like to follow up, Mick?
Oh, no,
follow
no
up?
problem. Thank you.
Okay. So we've gone through the first string. Everybody's had their questions. We have a couple of minutes left, so we'll take some follow up if anyone has until we have to call it a day at 2:30. So I see Noah, you have a follow up. Please come forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the extra question here. Just wondering, you guys mentioned that a number of highways with water on them and then a couple of closures as well. I was wondering if you guys sort of had a list or knew which specific highways will be closed at this time because of the water.
Okay, so I'm going off of memory here. Highway 3. Oh, here, I'll just look it up real quickly here. So north and south of Foam Lake, so Highway 310, those have been closed. It's just the water flow over the road is just a little bit too much, and so those have been closed. And then Highway 304, as I mentioned, southwest of Meadow Lake, that one's closed. And so what we do in the case of a closure like that is that obviously we want to repair the road as quickly as we can. So we will having it. The team is probably already there assessing what needs to be done, and then we'll go ahead and make the necessary arrangements to get the work done. If it's an emergency, we will get the work done quickly on a temporary basis, and then come back and finish it permanently. Or what we would do is we may have to run a local detour for a period of time while we have time to tender the project and get the contractor in place to complete the road. So those are the only two I can think of off the top of my head here. I don't know if I have a couple of colleagues here if they're aware of any other full closures.
I'm not aware of any other ones, Bill, but as always, check the highway hotline. It'll have the latest available information. And of course, the situation is changing often. So that's your best source of information to find out what's closed. But I'm not aware of any other ones at this time either.
Thank you. No follow-up.
Okay, thanks. Kenneth, you can have a follow-up now if you'd like.
Yep, thank you. Yep, I'm wondering for the Melick area as well as the surrounding area, also the impacted area by the flooding, is there any concern when it comes to drinking water safety or just drinking water access in general?
What I would say to that, Kenneth, I don't, at this point, I don't have any concerns with drinking water safety, but we have environment officers that work with local communities. We've been in touch with the communities that are, impacted. And if there are concerns with, water treatment plants or wastewater treatment plants, our environment officers work with those communities.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so it looks like we have run out of our questions for today. I'd like to thank everyone for attending and participating. And just a reminder that if you do have any additional questions on this topic or any other topics related to the SPSA, they're best sent to the media inbox, media.spsa@gov.sk.ca. Thank you and have a safe rest of your day.